Okay, can everyone hear me now? Let's see. I think I was muted for the past minute. What's up, everyone? Let's see. Hello, Kev, Starry Eyed, Alikia, Isis, Sleepy Bee. I'm so happy to see y'all here. Okay, you all can hear me. Okay, perfect. Yeah, like I said, I think I was muted for a couple of minutes, at least a minute. Right. So, I don't know who else is going to join, and even if it's just the few of us, that's fine. I wanted to come back today, kind of bouncing off of yesterday's session about the energetics of things, but I wanted to particularly focus on the Plutonian energy, right? Being that Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for a long time. I think until 2045, 2049, something like that. Um, and yesterday I saw some things in the chat that I kind of wanted to see if maybe I could help alleviate as best as I can, right? And I kind of wanted today's session to be, like I said, about the Plutonian energies, but also kind of a, and I don't know if this is possible, kind of a shadow working conversation that we'll have together, right? Because I saw some people saying, they're scared, they're afraid. And I completely get that, right? The unknown is the unknown. But there are some things that we can look at to which we can kind of get a vibe or a feel about this Plutonian energy that's going to rebirth many things, probably a few different themes in this upcoming society. And I'm really speaking along the lines of as it pertains to the United States, being that this is the United States' first Pluto and Aquarius return, right? Since the United States was founded in the 1770s. So it's going to be a really big deal for the United States. And I'm going to pull up some articles and we're going to look through things that professional astrologers have come up with. And then we're going to have a discussion about the things that professional astrologers, have kind of peeked at and hinted at. So let me go ahead and get that set up. And thanks everyone for being here. Hello, Starry Eyed. Oh no, Empress has a migraine. Well, I hope you feel better. I really hope you feel better, right? Migraines suck. I only really get a migraine when that one guy comes on Taz's channel, you know. But I digress. Yeah, so give me a second. Let me pull up these articles. We're going to kind of review things. I'm going to mute up really quick. And then we're going to look into these articles and then we're going to kind of start some discussions, right? So give me just a moment. Okay. Now, let's see. Can you all see this? Trying to get it together. Y'all know how I can be. Okay. So, let me know if you all can see this because I know there's a StreamYard delay. I don't know why that's like that. Okay, I see you, Kev. Let's see if this one will help. Is this better, my darlings? That should be better. Yeah, it's kind of blurry. I mean, we're sharing this whole, you know, Donna says I can't, I just can't read it. I'm blind. Don't say you're blind. Let me see. Let me try one more. Okay, Sleepy Bee says that she can see it. Says that she can see it. Okay, because remember, there's like a 30-second delay with StreamYard. Okay, so I don't know why you all can't see it. Let me try something. I mean, the print is really small. So for the most part, I'm going to be reading and whatnot from it. Okay, is this better, ladies and gents? Yeah, we're not really worried about that. Yeah, the word, even with me looking at the page just myself, yeah, the print was really, really small with just me looking at the internet page, right? So, okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So, I kind of want to focus in on one of the themes of this Plutonian and Aquarius energy, and that is the theme of revolution, right? And as you can see here, this is Catherine Urban, her astrology page. I kind of found this earlier today when I was looking around the internet. And this is her Pluto in Aquarius Part 2 article. So we're going to look into this. And again, if you can see here, 1777 to 1798, Pluto's most recent visits to Aquarius occurred during an era of revolution among several countries around the world, right? So, like I said, I know that yesterday some people were saying that they were afraid. We kind of have to think of revolution as things have been going on for so long, and societies have not been listened to. The little people on the bottom have not been listened to for so long that, when things just have to change, a lot of times it comes to a head, forcing the change, right? Sorry, I had to cough. So things will force the change. And I don't know if anyone saw on my community wall earlier today, I posted a screenshot of an article from The Guardian, which is media in London in the UK. And there was a town hall event of some of the world's elite happening in London. And it was pretty much saying, like, if things don't change, do not be surprised if the people pick up pitchforks to come after you all, because all of you hoarding money and resources, and you're not helping those on the economic ladders, underneath you. People getting tired of it, right? And I found that that was really, really interesting, especially correlating to our conversation yesterday. So we're starting to see some of these themes of change and revolution via force, right? The powder keg getting ready to ignite. We're starting to kind of see that around the world, and I found that very interesting to see it happening, just at that particular location because that's where the event was being held. The event was being held in London, but I also found that that parallel between England, right, the revolution, and the birth of the United States, because that article, when I posted it today on my community wall, but the article was from June 30th of this year, 2023, which is just a few days, before July 4th here in the United States. So I'm finding that the parallels are very, very interesting, over these hundreds of years span. The themes are there. Yeah. And not just even like in France. Like I said, this was an article from The Guardian, which is London, part of the UK. So I found that very, very interesting to see people just forwardly saying, or the notion of, listen, y'all better get it together before we come tear y'all up, right? I just found that very, very interesting to see now that we have mass media where we can see what's happening around the world. I found that very, very interesting seeing those parallels, right? Being put on display, the news being disseminated for the world to see, right? So, the Declaration of Independence here in the US, um, and I think we can see right here in the article, it says it's important to note that the US colonists continued to war with the British through the early years of Pluto's journey into Aquarius, right? Right. So, exactly. Starry Eyed says people ain't got nothing to lose but bills. People ain't playing anymore. And it's so funny because, once again, Mr. Hoodoo and I, we have lots of conversations about various things. And it was not funny, but it was interesting. We were talking about this either yesterday or the day before. And I saw something, I forgot what it was. It was some person doing some type of criminal act or whatever. And I was just like, is that really the best way to handle a situation? Is to go straight to, criminality, degeneracy. And I hope you all cannot hear the train in the background, but there's like a train like 4 blocks from my subdivision. But we were talking about that. Mr. Hoodoo was just like, people are sick and tired of being treated any old kind of way by governments, by establishments, by, things like that. Oh, that's what it was. We were watching the movie Arlington Road. I know Arlington Road is an old movie from like the late 90s, the mid 90s, something like that. Arlington Road is a very old movie, but it was about um people who were fighting the federal government via explosive measures, right? I'm not going to say certain words. And like I said, the conversation came up and I was just like, just doing that, unaliving all of these people who were innocent in this, building that's not right to the innocent people. You take the fight where it needs to be, but not to the innocent people. And Mr. Hoodoo was just like, some people are just really sick and tired of, policies, eminent domain, the tax systems, all of these different things, lobbying for, corporations to come through, take land, they set up all these things, they do this environmental damage, then they don't have to pay taxes, but you making whatever you make, sometimes up to 30% of what you earn is going to taxes, and it's not fair, it's not right. So like I said, it's just interesting. Just I noticed an energetic change with people that I talk to, about various things, like politics, things like that. I noticed the energetic changes. I noticed the things that people say. And that's kind of this energy being dispersed, right? So, yeah, so let me scroll down. So, Now, I put the picture of the cake here, right? Because we were kind of talking about Marie Antoinette yesterday, right? So that's why I put the cake up here. Because I found it very interesting that this was here. And the let them eat cake part, like I said, we're talking about resources as well. How your money purchases resources, what resources are not being purchased because it's less and less and less and less of what you have. So looking here again, during the last Pluto and Aquarius time period, there was a revolution around the world. The French Revolution began as a women's march demanding lower prices of bread, to which Marie Antoinette said, then let them eat cake, not realizing that you also need flour to bake a cake. This spiraled the movement into the class warfare. The French Revolution is regarded as a movement whose ideals of equanimity ran away with them. So, and it's so funny, um, Lilith had commented on my Facebook, not my Facebook, Lilith had commented on my YouTube wall post earlier today, and she was talking about the guillotine. How funny this guillotine is here. But I think that, again, when we're exploring these things, we have to fully be okay with the uprisings that may come. And we're going to kind of look into that when I pull up different articles. Yeah, the various uprisings that may come through this energy that's going to last for quite some time, right? So, and I want us to kind of look at this right here. The shadow side of humanitarian Aquarius, right? Pluto and Aquarius, is the authoritarian masking its agenda as the greater good. How many times have we seen it? How many times have we seen a government entity, a large corporation, even some people with their smaller organizations saying that they are doing X to produce Y, and that's really not the case. The lying, right? The scandals, just being untrue, doing terrible things to people, to others, to animals, right? Saying that they're doing X, just straight up lying to you. And the revolution, whenever it comes, isn't just going to be about, it's not going to just be about uprisings for uprisings. We are at a point in society now where we are tired of what's fake, what's unreal. We are tired of lies. We are tired of hidden agendas, right? We're tired of those things because whether people know it or not, most of us just want to live our lives in peace, with truth, with fairness, with, equity as far as that can reach, right? And all these things that the top of the triangle, the top of the pyramid do, that aren't truthful, that are deceitful, so when revolution comes, it's about that as well. Stopping the lying, the deceitfulness, right? Just tell us the truth, and I think we were at a point in which a lot of us were okay with the lies. And when I say us, I mean, I'm talking about the United States as a country, as a culture, was okay with the lies, right? Kind of leading up to our propping up of celebrities, artists, people who have money, propping them up and being okay with the lies and things like that, because that was part of the age of man, right? That's a part of a different era. So, Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Isis says, interesting, considering France is experiencing some things now, governmentally and with its people. Absolutely. Aquarius is societal, humanity, for the people, the people, the people, the people. Not the not the one, but the many. So these revolutions, wherever they may be, and again, specifically talking about the United States, when we hear the phrase for the greater good, these are the things that we're going to see and want, right? Hey, I am my grandmother's rebellion. Hey, Renaissance woman. Yeah, so now let me switch to, oh, let's look down here a little bit more. As we can see, if we're looking at this paragraph, right? Democracy was the hot and upcoming political ideology of this era. Okay. A true Aquarian ideal, which considers the aims and desires of the group. Haiti, Australia, and the Netherlands also claimed their independence during this period. Liberalism and partisanship began to take root for the first time, while abolition movements arose in the United States and Europe. Pluto and Aquarius fixates upon the question of what it means to be humane. Now, I read that so we can kind of understand how some of it may branch off, especially when we're talking about political ideologies. Now, I don't know about the rest of the world. Here in the United States, the two-party system is popular, but everyone knows it's more than just Democrats and Republicans here in the United States. I don't know. Maybe, during this Pluto and Aquarius reign, maybe we'll see more equity among the political parties in the United States. Maybe we'll see that. I don't know. Maybe there'll be somewhat of a change to our political ideologies. Maybe there'll be new ones being introduced. We may just abolish it. We don't really know. But again, I wanted us to kind of look at the ideologies, how ideologies arose after, you know, revolutions, countries declaring their independence. You know, we're seeing a lot of the downfall of many monarchies around the world. So just keep some of that in mind. Okay, Kev says, I wonder if Americans are really trying to revolt against the system as well. As a whole, I don't really see it. I could be wrong though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I don't really know, and I don't know. Now, we have seen things happen, like, make no mistake about it. The January 6th foolery that happened a few years ago here in the US, supposedly there was, besides being all the different foolery that was about, what if that really was the beginning of revolt, change? Like we see it as, a complete, that they were trying to quote unquote take over the government or run through the White House or whatever, whatever, whatever. But what if that was the beginning? What if that was a spark that will later bring some type of movement during this span? Right? I think we really need to think about that because, you know, this is going to be from 2023 to 2044, Pluto in Aquarius. That's a long time. That's 20 years. That's 20 years, right? We don't know what can rise, what can fall in the span of 20 years, right? Okay, Donna says Haiti has no government, it's just terrible there. That is true. That is true. At the same time, we're looking at the historical references of change and of uprisings and of revolt, especially as it pertains to freedom and political ideologies, to kind of maybe get a glimpse at things that we may see in the future. So we're not talking about present day, particularly with respect to Haiti. We're examining the past, right? So we can kind of give an idea of what could possibly happen, either here or worldwide in the future. Yes, Kevin, 2044. This is going Pluto Pluto transits are long and generational, right? So this Pluto's in Aquarius. It entered into Aquarius, made its ingress in March of 2023. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius. I mean, it's going to retrograde really quick for maybe like a year or so back into Capricorn, but it's going to spend, by the when it leaves Aquarius, it's going to be 2044, 2045. So that's why I want people to kind of think about the long haul, about what these energies can do over the span of 20 years. So, like I said, I just kind of wanted, yeah, 2023 to 2044, 2045. That's 20 years, right? So, let me pull up this other article so we can kind of look at something else. Um, Now, let's see. Okay. Okay, let me answer Kev's question. Pluto retrograde. Okay, so a retrograde in astrological terms just means that a planet appears to be moving backwards instead of forwards, right? So stepping back into something. And normally when we're stepping back into something is to really, really examine and see kind of what's going on. And it's really to take an assessment of what's going on, especially as it deals with the particular traits and characteristics of a planet and the traits and characteristics of a zodiac sign. For example, when Mercury goes into retrograde, which happens 3 to 4 times every year, because Mercury is one of the fastest moving celestial bodies that we have, being that Mercury rules or oversees things that move, travel, communication, the internet, some forms of monetary systems, um, mass media, things like that. That's things that Mercury govern. When Mercury is in retrograde, you may not want to deal with, signing paperwork. You may want to take precautions when you're traveling because your flight may be delayed. You may want to really, really reassess, any type of documents, look them over, check them twice before you sign them and send them off, things like that. So, retrograde movement is time to step back and assess and see what's going on. So, Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn will bring up those other themes of you have to understand the Capricornian energies, right? So that's pretty much like retrograde. It's going to depend on the planet and the sign that it's in. Yes, absolutely, because the retrograde is just a small amount of time in comparison to when a planet is direct or completely moving forward. Right? So right now, for example, Venus is retrograde. Venus, the planet associated with love and relationships and friendships and things like that, is retrograde. Some couples may have a difficult time right now. Some people may be assessing, do I really want to be in this relationship? Do I really want to be around these people? Do I really want to have these social contacts because Venus is retrograde right now? So, reassessing, looking things over. Right. Right. Now, Capricorn is earthy energy, Aquarius is air energy, right? So, like I said, it's really going to depend on the planet, the sign, and the traits, and whether they, how they mesh together, right? So, just a little bit of background on that. FYI, the next Mercury retrograde is coming up in a month or so. Yeah. And I was telling Mr. Hoodoo that I really would like for us to be moved before the next Mercury retrograde, moving, transportation, traveling, all that stuff like that, things that move, intricate pieces. I really want us to be moved before this retrograde because it can really, really slow things down. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And astrology and tarot, they're all linked together and intertwined, right? They're spiritual sciences, right? So yeah. But overall, the Pluto direct moving forward in Aquarius energy is going to be much, much longer than any of the few, couple of periods of retrograde. So, right? So let's look into this. Pluto in Aquarius, the separation of money and state. With Pluto entering Aquarius in 2023 again, right? Because there was a quick retrograde period. And this is Pluto in Aquarius again, as opposed to in the 1700s, right? We predict that the next great global political revolution will be the attempt to separate money from state, a demand that will gain traction through Pluto's long transit. Because remember, this is 2023 to 2044. That's a long time. Now, Pluto will herald changes to technology, industry, and economy that will span over at least the next 2 decades, right? Now, it's funny that they mentioned technology because during the last Pluto in Aquarius stage, the the industrial revolution, right? New ideas are air element. The thoughts, the things that you can't see thoughts. We had the emergence of the industrial revolution, which is why this is mentioning changes to technology and industry, because the arising of these ideas, things that, because remember, the Industrial Revolution, that was changing a lot of the quote unquote hard labor that we had to do physically with our hands and moving that forward, bringing us into a very, very mechanized society, right? Technology is just the technology that we have today is just really just the era of the Industrial Revolution, but at a higher octave, at a higher state, right? Because all these little bits and pieces and laptops and all that stuff, we don't see. There are moving pieces inside. There are things that move, there are things that beep and click and all the others. That's just the Industrial Revolution at a higher octave. How do you separate money from state? I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's funny that it says separate money from state, because I think that goes back to the theme we were talking about of propping people up just because they have money. Absolutely, Kev. Referring to the Fed Now coin and cryptocurrency, let me scroll up so you all can see the top of this article. So, the top of this article, the American Revolution 2.0 is in our stars and it's already begun. Look at this Bitcoin. And this was published November 22nd, 2020. It was updated August 17th last year, 2022. Because if you have astrology software, you can pretty much pull up so many different things way into the future and start to examine them before the time period even comes, right? It's a different form of divination. Except now we have software that does the work of us instead of us doing this on our hand, right? Instead of calculating charts by hand, which I hear is very tedious. Okay. Matter of fact, I just saw something, just that little bit of retrograde back into Capricorn, right? I just saw it was like Sweden or Norway or something like that, just found these huge deposits of phosphate rocks, deep in their land that can be used, for agricultural and business use. So just put the signs are here. You just have to know what you're looking at. So, but not even the Bitcoin people died. The whole thing about the Fed now, the CBDC, instead of fighting the cryptocurrencies, now governments around the world are trying to implement, different ways, that it can be used on federal and governmental levels. This is Pluto and Aquarius, right? So let me go back down. So, and I just want to kind of touch right here too. So, US historic Pluto return, you know, homecoming in Capricorn for the first time since the country's birth, July 4th, 1776. Right, 13 months later, on March 23rd, 2023, Pluto will enter Aquarius for the first time since 1797, the year that George Washington made democratic history, blah, 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 blah. So, this is like I said, we're looking at the United States, particularly because this is where we are, and it's pivotal for us because we're one of the youngest countries out here. We have not been in existence for 500, 600, 1,000 years. We haven't been around that long. So, Pluto will move into Aquarius into 2024. Its first visit to the water bearer's domain since 1778 through 1798, which was a 20-year period of explosive growth for both the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Enlightenment. The origin of our monetary system has roots in Pluto's last visit to Capricorn and Aquarius, an era that encompassed both the American and French Revolution. So, this is telling us that we may very well see changes to the monetary system. Hey, Tiff. Hey, Reese. So, we'll definitely see. We will see. Also, want us to look right there in the next paragraph. Money and government are both forms of human technology subject to evolution, and technology always disrupts. Okay? Technology always disrupts. Very interesting, right? Very, very, very interesting. I also want us to look at this right here. In 1792, while Pluto was last in Aquarius, the United States dollar became the nation's standard unit of currency. Okay. Okay. Currency, right? Currency. As the French Enlightenment philosopher Voltaire warned, paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero. Today, the U.S. Federal Reserve is debasing the U.S. dollar, the world's reserve currency, by printing to infinity in an effort to keep the debt-addled American economy afloat. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, It's very, very interesting. Will the currency change? I don't know. We don't know. Now, if you've been paying attention to the news, right, on various things, there are countries, I don't want to say ganging up together. There are countries around the world aligning to undermine and remove the United States dollar as the world currency, especially when it comes to trade deals and business deals. They want to return to the gold standard. So, yeah, fizzling out cash doesn't mean completely getting rid of the system. It just means fizzling out cash because the transfers in the bank is still made, based on quote unquote what you have in your account, right? The cash you have in your account. This is talking about completely undermining all of that, right? So there are some countries around the world and they're linking up together to form one super boss to denounce the United States dollar as worldwide currency. Because make no mistake about it, in most countries around the world, you don't even have to have that country's money. You can come with United States dollars and they're going to take it. Things are changing, ladies and gents. Things are changing. Okay? Things are a changing. So let me check and see. Was there any other article I wanted to kind of bring up before I open it up for a comment? Let's see. This I found was interesting, right? And this is from an article that I don't know when it was published, but this is from Astro Butterfly, as you can see here at the top. Pluto and Aquarius, power to the people. I want us to kind of focus on this part right here. The final frontier, Pluto, right? Even though Pluto has been downgraded to a moon, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. We're using the energetics of Pluto. We're using these energetics. Common keywords associated with Pluto are power, depth, transformation, crisis, surrender, resilience, the big natural cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. And I want you all to kind of think about that. Again, I know some people yesterday were saying that they're kind of afraid. We don't really know what could potentially happen, but something has to end for something else to come about. It is the natural cycle of things. The volcanoes, just like the Hawaiian Islands, came out of destruction. Every time those volcanoes go off in Hawaii, there is new land. Yes, all the people's houses are destroyed. You shouldn't have built there anyway, being disrespectful to nature. But their houses are destroyed. Those islands get new land. Eventually, plant life and animal life springs out of it. Things have to be broken down and destroyed so the new things can be ushered in. It's change, it's transition. So, looking at this, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, right? Mars, we're getting into courage, power, destruction, war. But Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, being that it's not just for ego and self, like with Mars, right? A lot of that sometimes Aries energy, right? It's not just for that. Pluto has a purpose. It is exactly what it says, the higher octave of Mars. The purpose there is purpose behind the destruction and the rebirth, right? When you go to the grocery store, you act from your Mars. No one can tell you to not go to the grocery store. You go there when you want to. But if the council, which I find the wording interesting, decides to close down the grocery store and build a warehouse for Amazon, there's not much you can do. Of course, you can try to fight the council or sign petitions, but the council is a greater force than yourself. It is the sum of personal interests and multiple individuals. And this is what I hope that we as a society are getting back to, the us, the we, instead of the me. Okay. Personal will, ego here with Mars, the I, the me, the Pluto is the collective. Yeah, dwarf planet, moon, all this different stuff. They disrespecting my Pluto out here. And I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that because it's nine planets in my solar system. Okay. Okay. I don't care what they say. So these are kind of some themes. I think there was one thing else I was missing that I wanted to touch on too. Um, Let me go back. Let me go back one. Something else that I wanted to touch on. Okay. And y'all know what an astrological chart looks like. This is an astrological chart. This is the chart of the Pluto ingress into Aquarius. Ingress just means coming into, right? Um, Americans Pluto return, because when you're doing something like for a person, you need a birth date. If it's a location, you usually go by the capital of that country, right? And the capital of the United States is Washington, D.C. So this person calculated for Washington, D.C. because it's the United States. Yeah. So I kind of wanted to touch on this too. This is what I was looking for. Pluto and Aquarius in the 11th house, a place of social networks. The emphasis on social media tech giants. Now, we may see um some interesting talks or chats about social media, how some social media affects society, disrupts society. I think we're kind of seeing some of it now, some of it with restrictions, free speech, things like that. Yeah, absolutely, starry eye. You can look at America's birth chart. Absolutely, you can. July 4th, 1776. Put it in any type of astrological software and it will come up. No, Twitter is not choosing to limit. Your homeboy didn't pay his bill, so there's no bandwidth. But I think there's also um some political reasoning behind that as well, right? So the conversation about our data and the threshold of automation will continue through the energy of this chart. So Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house, she's talking about here, right? 11th house, Pluto is in Aquarius here. So this is the glyph for Pluto. That's the glyph for Aquarius. If you are on my Patreon, you should be able to pick out some of these planetary symbols, right? Moon, Sun, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto. This is Venus, right? This is Mercury. Notice the coloring, the green for Venus. Here's Jupiter right here. So, like I said, if you're on my Patreon, you should be able to pick out some of these symbols. So, this is what she's talking about, the first ingress. 0 degrees, Pluto's in Aquarius in 11th house. So now this is for number 2. Ingress 2, the house of labor. As we've seen in previous Pluto Aquarius eras, there seemed to be a controversial dichotomy between the ways in which technology improves working conditions, as well as the fear that it will replace us. Ding, 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 here's your AI. So, in the sixth house of labor, so here's Pluto, right, in Aquarius, because this is the borderline. Pluto is in Aquarius, right? And the next time this happens, this is January 2024. So January 20th is, if you know your zodiac, right, for Western society, the sun changes signs every 30 days, but it's usually around the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, something like that for the sign changes. So Capricorn is in a December to Capricorn is like December 20th, 21. And then, Aquarius begins January 20th, January 21, January 19th. So the sun, this circle with a dot in Aquarius, and then we have Pluto in Aquarius, but the sun, is in Aquarius at 17 degrees, 27 degrees. So they'll both be here. So Ingress 2, like I said, is talking about the AI. This is 2024. So we'll see what's going to happen with the AI or any other technological advances. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Now for Ingress 3, and this is the ingress in which Pluto is going to stay in Aquarius until 2044. Autocratic 10th house, opposite Mars in Leo in the 4th house. So, yeah, provocative and volatile. Absolutely. What do you get when you put a hothead in another hothead's house? Okay, because Leo, we have Mars, a fiery planet, in Leo, a fiery sign. So, Mars, the zodiac sign with Mars is Aries, fire. Leo is ruled by the sun. This is fire as well. You have fire and fire with Pluto, destruction. So, definitely volatile combination. Outrage, eruptive action. Absolutely. Y'all know some of these fire signs can't keep it together. They always popping off, saying some stuff, doing some stuff without even thinking. So, it's going to be interesting to see. So, that was just what I wanted to kind of talk about. Just like I said, looking at the Pluto and Aquarius energies for a little bit. And no, the houses, those are not my charts. Those are the charts from this astrologer, Catherine Urban, right? Those are not my charts. I'm actually going to get some astrology software myself so I can plot things out. But when the houses come up in the software, it will plot the houses out depending on what type of astrological system you go with. Sidereal, tropical, are you doing whole sign, whole house, all those different things come into play, right? Oh yeah, no problem, Kev. Renaissance woman says, so I was practicing tarot on this current situation, but just US envision as a whole nine of pentacle with chariot crossing. Interesting. That chariot is movement. Absolutely. Absolutely. Interesting. Interesting. Definitely a money thing. Definitely a money thing. So let me stop sharing. And if anyone, I'm not going to be here too much longer, maybe another 15 minutes. I just wanted to kind of, go into some things a little bit deeper as it pertains to Pluto and Aquarius energies. And I will give 15 minutes so we can kind of chat. If anyone has anything to say, kind of chat about the topic at hand, thoughts, feelings, emotions. Listen, Donna says, wasn't Washington a Mason? There were a bunch of them that were astrologers and everything like that. Understand that there have been people throughout the ages looking at this, okay, and looking at the progression of things. The United States, over her existence, excuse me, and being a country that rose to prominent power was no coincidence, okay? Those people were astrologers, those people were trained absolutely in the mystical arts. Absolutely, this is revelatory. Absolutely, it is. So let me drop the link and see if anyone wants to come up and just chat for a few minutes. Like I said, I'm going to get off at 6:45. So let me, yeah. I mean, the big thing about it, Kev, is that it's not, things are definitely planned out if you're looking to things. Like people come to me for tarot readings and I see different things. And a lot of times people, some people want to know about what's happening with other people. And then some people want to know what's going on with their life so that they can prepare. So when I see things, I'm like, you may want to pay attention to this. You may want to pay attention to that. That's what divination is for. If you see something, say something so you can be prepared for it and deal with it if it arises. That's really what we're supposed to be using divination for, not necessarily to see what's going on in such as in so and so's house, right? That is the true reason why astrologers and diviners and people who are psychics and stuff can see beyond the veil, because we are supposed to be helping people to help themselves and prepare, right? Not to be nosy and see if Susie is screwing Jason, right? So I say that to say, no shade to anybody, but this is what these arts are to be for. This is what they're for. Divination, to see all the different ways that you can see and hear, is supposed to be to help, to look at things, right? So yeah, let me drop the link. If anyone wants to come up, like I said, until 6:45, and we can have a little discussion, that's fine. I ask that everyone that comes up, please stay on topic. Okay? Please stay on topic. And then after this, I have to get up and go do my steps, my workouts, because I am in a weekly step challenge with some of my friends. And of course, you know, I'm competitive and I have to smoke them. So we're going to see. I've already got my 10K steps for the day. But honey, I want to do so much more. I want to win. So, yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I agree. Hey, Donna. Yeah, no, divination is really supposed to be okay. So, what do you see? Do you see, the for the betterment of yourself, and just really looking out for things so you can change things? So that's what divination is supposed to be for, not for this other foolery. Oh, I also want to say that I've added some planetary transit, um, some planetary transit style tarot readings to what I offer. So, like the current Venus in retrograde transit, the Jupiter and Taurus transit, as that relates to different people. So, if that's something someone may be interested in, I something told me like, yeah, start offering that to people, because these planetary transits out here, it's cray. So, hey, Kev, and hello again to Donna. Y'all are here.
Hello. I just think people should just be using this time and energy to because we know there's going to be a bunch of rich people that are going to disappear in various different ways, a lot of companies that are about to go down. I've
Mm,
just been observing this energy and figuring out how can I get rich, because the old rich are going to fall and there's going to be a new section of rich, and I think a lot of people should be preparing for when this new world not like when it finally comes into fruition, because we're already going there. They should be
mhm.
prepared that when you get there, you're comfortably well off for as much as you want to be. Now, for me, I'm like, I want to be rich by next year. And I see a lot of companies are going, a lot of things are falling, a lot of things are changing. So I'm trying to use the energy to just secure myself. Okay, like, and I think a lot of people should be doing that versus like, we're here focusing on like, not like here specifically, but like we're here just as a society focusing on this celebrity and this influencer and this TikToker and this person and that person.
Absolutely.
Bunch of stupid
I agree.
stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I've follow someone who is kind of like using she's kind of like using innovative stuff to try to get people to create have business ideas and the conceptualization and all that type of stuff. I think that where people can put more focus on, like if Donna wants to be more focused on being rich, or you're somebody who wants to take advantage of the opportunity, I think that you should or you could follow where these places are, which places are closing, and then try to find some way to replace them, or like like where's the food shortage, so people are starting to farm, grow crops and things like that. um, there's medicine that I think Walgreens are going to be closing like 150 stores here in the United States. So like there could be ideas of medicine or things like that, like like following the things that people need, um, or following the trends, or like the places that are closing that house what people need, and then like taking advantage of those in any way that you can, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, especially when it comes to things being quote unquote restrictive, right? Make no mistake about it, a lot of medicine, you know, current current first world medicine is really just copying what nature does naturally. So there are so many plants and, plant allies and animal allies that if you know what you're doing with them, you can harness, and try to heal yourself or help yourself out, like, the whole pandemic thing going down, there are lots of herbals, lots of medicinals out here. And I find it
Um,
interesting.
um,
I've seen more and more where the FDA, I think it was FDA, or certain regulatory agencies don't want people to take herbals or don't want to
mhm.
deal in herbal medicine. It works. It works, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But I wanted to say that my stepmom had hosted an event last month, and she invited someone who does a lot of herbal remedies, and specifically teas. And
mhm,
like she was going through the information of like the different um plants and herbs that could be used for teas, and you'd be surprised as to how many people were like deer in the headlights by not really knowing all these different things that could be
mhm,
used to heal their body, as opposed to getting stuck on medication. Because once you get on some of those medications, you're on them for life, because
exactly.
they're basically there to try to sustain. They're making it to try to heal you, but then you have to keep using it so that way that something else doesn't go wrong with your body because you're using these things. So she had all these different types of um, herbal packets, so the way that you could use it for tea, or if you wanted to use it for foods, or you want it for soap. Like she had all these
Mm,
different combinations of recipes that could be used for that, that people just kind of like ignore.
absolutely. And I would say this, like it's so funny. And here's a challenge for some of you. Um you can go look at what is that? Glucosamine chondroitin, right? And you'll see some of what's in it is frankincense. Like when you see something called boswellia in glucosamine chondroitin, that's nothing but frankincense. Frankincense tears, that people use for incense. It is ingestible. And this is by no means me telling y'all to go eat it, but I'm just telling you the plant frankincense has been used for pain, arthritis type relief for the longest amount of time. For the longest amount of time. I mean, Anyone who knows dandelion will is a natural diuretic, right? If you're holding water, you need to get it out. Dandelion is a natural diuretic. Same as like ginger will do. So many different things. And like I said, because I work with, a lot of different herbs and things like that, I know. I know people have been treating diabetes with cinnamon, magnesium for the longest. Like, yeah, a lot of it
And you could be
is,
surprised at how many stuff is actually like
yeah,
just around your area, or
yeah,
like like you could be just like an Amazon
yeah,
like a package away from having that into your home.
yeah. Some things are natural cough suppressants. Ladies can do a lot of things with their, hormonal cycles with herbs and stuff like that. The herbs that, help with getting your libido back. Like just so many different things. And it's just like this is also, make sure you're learning and studying or whatnot. I'm not telling you to go take a bunch of herbs, but I am saying that the information is out there. And this Pluto and Aquarius, some of that is going to be changes to the amount of information that you can access too. So make sure you're printing out your articles, you're saving them, you have hard physical copies of things because the Internet Archive is disappearing. Even using
You
a
said
different
that before.
source. Yeah, absolutely.
It actually is because I
Yeah.
noticed I was looking for who is it? I was looking for like Lucifer's not Anne, but like his personal phone number. And I remember I found it on a site before, and then I went back to like that site to like look for a lot of that information because it had like good information, like of all the things you could do and not just the basic stuff. And like that whole website was like scrubbed. And I had like the bookmark, and every time I kept trying, it would say like first it would say like, oh, we notice unusual traffic from this computer. We want to make sure it's you. So I do the thing, and then it says error 404 not found.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's disappearing. And like I said, make sure you all are, whatever you're finding, if it's interesting to you, if it's important to you, print it out. Things are disappearing. You can't just bookmark it anymore. Print it out. Go get the books. Make sure you have yourself a copy because information is key, right? There's a difference between knowledge, data, and information. Make sure you're holding on to things. Make sure you are holding on to things because make no mistake about it. As things begin to change and as quote unquote these revolutions come, don't think for one moment that the powers that be may try to restrict access to information or just remove information altogether. So
Yeah.
don't, you know what I'm saying? So look at everything. Look at everything.
We have so many like I know it's a huge thing going on in like America, but I know Canada is becoming like very divided. Like we already had our own issues, and then when people are seeing like what's going on with America, they're dividing on a lot of those things. Like we're starting to see like provinces like Alberta wanting to do book bans. We're seeing over here like cuz I'm in like the pro side for a lot of the stuff that a lot of people might be disagreeing with. You're starting to see a lot of book bans, a lot of like misinformation, a lot of products being removed here, products being removed there. It's just the world has been getting real ugly with like information and like misinformation and spreading misinformation. At this point, it doesn't even seem like people care about what's truthful anymore. It just seems to be whatever makes whatever agenda and whatever side win. And it's like they blatantly do it, and then they don't even apologize for like blatantly lying to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So and that's why I say I think we're going to see a lot of that change start to come during because we're in the very, very, I mean, 0.5% of, what's going to be coming based on Pluto being in Aquarius until 2044. We still have a long time ahead of us.
I have a long time, girl. I'm only 20. Do you know I'm gonna be like close to 40 when all this is done? Do you
And in the next 20 years, I'm going to be 60. Like I said, yeah,
know?
we have time ahead of us, but like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see the things that are going to change on societal type levels. What's going to change and how it's going to change for people.
And
So,
then yeah, think about within the next 20 years. Like right now, I have nephews that I think two of them are teenagers, and then two of them are like really young. And by the time they get into like, so it's like paying attention to them, and as they evolve into adulthood, you'll really start
mhm,
seeing how things will really change. Like especially with like my younger two nephews, they're already into like tablets. They already know how to work like a whole bunch of technology stuff. They're into like those games where they have like coins and tokens and you pay for tokens and things like that. So they're
yeah,
already being indoctrinated to how to use or earlier being conditioned to how to use those things to try to get stuff.
Yeah, because conventional ways are just being like iced out. Like, especially here in Montreal, I remember the pandemic. Like before, you could use your card, you could use cash or e-transfer. There are some
Hmm.
places now where they only want e-transfer or they only want that card. They don't want nothing to do with your cash. Like I remember I was in a mall, like in the food court, and literally the cash I had was worthless. They're
mhm,
like, we don't take cash. No, we don't want cash. We want your card. Like, and there's just a lot of things. Even here, you're seeing a lot of the factory owners, they're having like literally sites where it's just all robots, and maybe it's like one or two engineers to make sure things don't fail, but it will be the robots making the products, putting the products in, making the formula, and it's just so much cheaper. Like, so
yeah.
I don't know, like it
And we
seems
kind of
like
touched
we're going
on
to a
that too.
technological world.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that in one of those articles, where the astrologist was saying, the industrial revolution and people fearing that machines would take away their jobs at position. This isn't the first time this has happened, from cotton gins and all that other different type of stuff, technology making lives easier, but also as things become easier, you know, you may not need these people to do the work because the machine is going to do it, right? So,
And not only that, sometimes they expect you to keep up as fast as the work or the machines in the shop. And it's like, it makes some employers forget that people are, I guess, people,
yeah.
because they want you to be as fast. They're like, oh, they'll be like, oh, this factory is slower, but my other factory, it's like two times faster. It's doing this. And I'm just like, but your other factory is all robots. There's like no people in that factory except just to make sure things ship correctly and everything's in there. So it's like it's causing people to not want to work too, because now they want people to come and work. They're lying about wages in
Hmm.
my city. They want people to come and work and then like say, okay, you're gonna get 100K plus bonus plus benefits, or you're gonna get paid over $1,000. Plus this benefit, plus that benefit, this, that, and the third, free this, free that. And then when you get the job, it's nothing. It's nothing like what they say, because they want the qualified workers without paying them. And then on top of it too, there's so much house scams going on now where people are like putting up a house and people are paying through with it through e-transfer or whatever, for the first month's rent, and people are getting scammed because there's a housing crisis. And the housing crisis started because we have so many foreign like companies and big corporations buying apartments and then just raising the rent for no reason. So something in like, a cheap area that was supposed to be like under $1,000 or maybe like $800 is now $1,200 for like a small 500 square space studio. And there's nothing like high tech or anything about it. You still got the white fridge and all, but they want to just make money. And then on top of it, they're bringing in more immigrants to work. They're planning to increase immigration actually, and so many people are coming here and can't find homes, or they're here and they're being pushed out of their homes because of the price of stuff. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are all things that have to change, right? These things have to change because doing that to people, it's not right. Like I said, the greed, the all these different things, it's not right. And these are some of the things that I believe that will start the change, or people are going to force the change. Like I said, we've already seen, the uprisings in France. I posted that article about, people threatening the elite with their pitchforks and other weapons because the disproportionate hoarding of wealth and resource, like it's not right.
Yeah,
And you
France
know
is falling because France literally is riding the back of like, what is it, like 16 African nations that are just going down under
exactly,
because they don't
it's
take care
not
of their
right.
colonies. Like Britain sort of kind of takes care of like, like Jamaica and all its other colonies. And I guess we could still consider Canada a colony of Britain, even though, it's they say it's technically not. They might give back a little something, right? France doesn't do that. France just takes, takes, takes.
And the
Uh,
thing about it is that's still the theme of it's not right, and things have to be torn down for something new to come. So it's
My thing is too is that it's unsustainable as well. It's beyond just stipulating morality. Just
mm-hmm.
like you really think about it, just from the whole balancing of economics and stuff. Like that can't last long anyway because that even if that's even if people try to survive in that, that would ultimately lead to some form of a collapse.
Mm-hmm. It's terrible. In like most of France's colonies, the quality of life is terrible. And the French do like when the governments would send petitions to them, like, we need this, we need that. Can we get a little bit of help with this? They can. And if they try to buy out, it's like, okay, you could buy out when they give damn near everything they have, but they will be broke and they'll still have debt to pay off and they'll have nothing. So like literally some of those colonies, they said if they were to buy out, it would literally take them 100 and something years to even get to recovery. That's not even heading towards sustainability. So it's really cruel.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the proverbial house of cards that we talked about yesterday. A lot. This is not sustainable. Doing this to people, just all these crazy things. It's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then not just the people, but then like somebody was saying earlier, like our plants, our ozone, and
Mhm.
all that, like our ocean, like it's not just to be us that suffer from all these different things that occur for the sake of money. Everything in the world suffers from what happens,
Yep.
Yeah.
the oil, gas, planets on the land, planets in the sea, even I'm sorry, animals in the animals in the land,
I was like, planet.
animals in the sea, and then the animals in the air too. Everything suffers when we are
Yeah.
in this state like this.
Yeah.
It can't last long like that. And even when
Yeah.
you start looking at like the polar ice caps that are melting, and because of the extreme heat, it's flooding, the ocean and stuff.
People's houses sliding off the freaking ice in northern Quebec. People's houses just sliding around because of all the melting.
Yeah.
It's very terrible. One thing that I didn't even understand because I just found it extremely like unfair. I think as a regular person, like here, it's probably different from province to province. But I know here in like Quebec, right, as an individual, there's only a certain amount of number of properties you're allowed to own that you can like, sustain. But what I don't get about these corporations is like, wait a minute. So I as a regular person, I
Mhm.
can't own more than this amount of houses in the area, to rent because I have to give some people time and in that way so I don't have like a fucking monopoly on that street or that road or that area. But you mean to tell me this corporation can come in and own half the street?
Yeah.
Like why are they, why is the freaking Pepsi company, just using them as an example, why are
Mhm.
they allowed to own half the street? But I can only own like what, three,
Mhm.
4 apartments there maximum, so
Yeah.
that way I'm not holding a monopoly on stuff. How is that fair?
Exactly. Again, like I said, these schemes, these machinations, the yeah, pe- people, and like I said, I've noticed the change in tone and vocabulary about things like over the past few years. People are really, really getting tired the lies, the scheming, the harm being done, the untruths. So we're really, and I'm gonna get off this stream in a few minutes, but I'm gonna end the stream in a few minutes. But like I said, these are things that I think that we should kind of study while we can, as far as social media goes. And listen, no social media platform is perfect. Sometimes we have these echo chambers, but if we're really looking at, taking a look at so many different things, so many different variables, the things that you can read online, talking to people, things like that, I think you can start to see the shift in societal viewpoints on things. Like I've started to see it myself.
Oh, Q. Do you know what happened? It was a story. It wasn't a story here. It happened somewhere else, but I they're doing this here now too. You know, you can't like just put a garden anymore, like a garden of like farming stuff. You need
I've heard
city
that.
permission.
I've
There
heard.
was one people where was it? I think it was Saskatchewan. It was somewhere that side of Canada. And they put up this like garden in the community, right? Because groceries are really high there. And there like you don't pay any municipal tax. Like there if you don't have like a college in like oil or something, you probably don't make a lot of money, right? And if you don't have the connections or like the rich parents, it's probably going to take you a long time to build up. So these people decided, hey, let's build a community garden to like help feed poor people or low income people during this time, right? They all put their money into it. They're like, we could all use it. The rich people in the area decided that the garden was a disturbance and had the city come pull it up.
Yeah, I've heard something like
Wow.
that before.
Yeah. And now they put in permits. You're not allowed to just have a garden like that. Like you're not allowed to just have a community garden. You got to ask like the city or the majority of the landowners cuz they said, "Oh, it was a disturbance. It was causing too much trouble." So they knocked it down. I
Yeah.
remember before you could keep like a chicken coops cuz I remember my grandfather had a damn chicken coop. Don't ask me why. He's crazy. He never left the farm boy at home. And he had the damn chicken coop when we were young, and before like you could have like a chicken coop in Montreal, so long as you have your own little place to like set it up and it's not like a huge disturbance and you could just keep your chickens there. Now they're making it so hard to do those like little chicken coops, those little um like gardens, like they're putting limits on how much you can grow and what you can do on your own land. Like I don't understand, if I have this big backyard, why is the city able to come tell me what I can't and can do on my backyard? Like they will come in now and tell you you have to cut down this tree. Why? The tree's not unhealthy. There's no problem with the tree. Why do I have to cut down this tree? Oh, because it's a viewing disturbance to the neighborhood.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. But I would just
One
say,
more thing before I go, Q. I want to know
yeah.
the name of that website that you had earlier. Because I thought all the stuff that you were sharing was just phenomenal stuff and
Yes, sir.
very revelatory. So I was wondering, like, what was
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Let me get those links. Let me go to my recently closed. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in the chat really quick. Let me open all of them. Because I was looking from three different ones. But yeah, while I look at that, I just wanted to say that, I know these things can be scary, and I don't know if, people 200 plus years ago were looking at um we're looking at this the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, but I think that we have, hopefully, I hope we have evolved enough as humans to, take a look at the past to kind of see what may be coming. Let me put those in the chat right now. So, I hope that's what, we're using it for, and for us to, try not to be afraid, because on a grand scheme of things, whatever it's going to be is what it's going to be. So I think we can change some things, but some things really just have to happen. At least that's my thought process on it. So, I think if we kind of know kind of some of the things that happened in the past, we can kind of have a hint about how things could play out, even if it's in a different flavor, right? It won't be so much of a surprise, like, oh, okay, well, this new is coming up because we've looked at the past, right? So,
Right.
anything else you
Well,
wanted to
I'm at
add,
a point
Kev?
now where I think that I'm not necessarily in that state of change because, like you said before, if it is what it is, then it is what it is. I think at this point I'm kind of like in the mindset of Donna of seeing like how to actually benefit from it, so that way that we're thinking ahead or having some sense of foresight of what to really do with all this information. And like you said before, like making sure that we have the information somewhere near us, because the whole idea of taking down the information, because this is really good stuff here. I think that this is very something that we should all be taking a look at and really taking advantage of in some way, to try just to have an idea of what we should be doing. And again, with what you were talking about with the last live stream, talking about the whole revolutionary change, I think that instead of trying to fear it and trying to get away from it, we need to try to do what we can to use it to our advantage. So that's part of the reason why I want to try to have access to that information. But since you're going to go ahead and in the stream, I'm going to go ahead and step down. Thank you again for the info. This was really, really, really good stuff. I really appreciate it. And I think everybody else in the chat does. So thank you for
Well,
once
thank you
again.
so much, Kev. Thank you so much, Kev, and thanks for everyone, spending their time with me this evening. Tomorrow I'm going to be back with what are we doing tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow I'm answering tarot questions, doing, the personal readings live. So that's tomorrow. Thursday, we have something to talk about on Thursday. I saw this foolery on Thursday, and yeah, we have to talk about. So that's the one on my channel that says, fuck around and find out. Yeah, we have to talk on Thursday about something. So, mm,
Looks like we going in.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here
yeah.
for it.
It might be a drill on Thursday because I've seen some dumb things, but this is probably some of the dumbest that I've seen. So
Well,
I'll be
thank
back
you.
tomorrow. Uh-huh. Welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Kevin and everyone else. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm answering your questions. You know how it goes. $10 for one question, $15 for two. That's tomorrow, Wednesday. And then, like I said, Thursday, we may have to drill. We just may have to drill because I've seen some stupid shit, but this right here is you fuck around and find out. And I think this person did. So that's it, everyone. Thanks for being here. Like the content, share the content, subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for everyone being here, spending your time with me. I'm gonna go. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.